Hey there geeks and geekettes, I'm your bearded geek and this is my review of The Umbrella Academy. Okay, so The Umbrella Academy was released on February 2019 on Netflix and is based on a collection of comics and graphic novels created by Gerard Way of My Chemical Romance fame. I, for a change, for a comic book geek, got no idea what the source material was based on. I've never read the comic, never seen it, never heard of it. Did not know Gerard Way of My Chemical Romance could write something like this. I'm tempted to go back to the comics to see if the stories are as good in the comics as they were in the show, because it was really good. Season runs for 10 episodes. And I really enjoyed it. It's not enough to make me sort of dust off my eyeliner and my Chemical Romance albums, because I don't own any, because I hated My Chemical Romance with a passion. But, you know, obviously the guy's gone into other arts and he seems much better at this than his music. So the premise is that one day in 1983, there's 43 babies born to 43 unconnected women that showed no signs of pregnancy the day before. And 7 of these children are adopted by a billionaire, Sir Reginald Hargreaves. And he creates Umbrella Academy and prepares for his children to save the world. Excuse me. Unfortunately, through the teenage years, the family dynamic fractures and the team disbands. And we fast forward to present time, where 6 of the surviving members, that's not a spoiler really, because this has gone over very early on in the show, almost in the intro, 6 surviving members, and they all reunite at the news of Hargreaves' passing. So then they work together to solve a mystery surrounding their father's death. But again, the family pulled apart because of personality clashes and the differing abilities. Some are more powerful than others, some have no power. But we'll get to that a little bit later. Obviously, this is a spoiler-free review, as I've said. But there's a global apocalypse, and it's an imminent threat, and this is what these kids have been trained to deal with. Right, so much like yesterday's review of The Boys, this is a superhero show with a difference. If you sort of think, again, The Watchmen, but then you mix it with X-Men, and you're almost there. In regards to abilities that make you look and feel like a monster and a freak, this show again draws toward the bad aspects of being a real superhero, and you're treated as freaks by society, and this ends up showcasing how life as a superhero isn't always a breeze. Superpowers, sort of, they ain't everything. But making the horrible parts of being a superhero are as essential as the good parts of this show, and this is where the Umbrella Academy really begins. It's a stylish shot, stylish looking series, written by Steve Blackman and developed by Jeremy Slater. And the show's odd, very odd, but it looks incredible. And at points, this show is it's incredibly touching. Much more sort of heart. You feel it in your heart a little bit more than you do with The Boys, because the comedy of The Boys can sometimes take that heartfelt emotion out of it. But these are very different shows. So as I've said, yeah, it makes me want to buy the books and read them. Because they're good. So there's some larger than life characters in this show, and again, like my normal videos, I'll be posting some images around this area One of the weird characters is a character called Pogo, which is basically it's the version of Alfred to Batman. But this is a genius level chimpanzee, and it's got to be said, the special effects on this chimpanzee, they're incredible. You'll see it in a trailer if you watch a trailer first. It looks really, really good. Special effects and the budget on this must have been huge. Pogo is played by Adam Godley. There's also a time-travelling assassin called Cha-Cha that is played by Mary J. Blige in a sort of razor-sharp suit. And her presence coincides with the apocalypse. I've never seen Mary J. Blige act in anything. I don't listen to any of her music, but I'm aware of who she is and some sort of massive songs that she's done. Wasn't expecting it to be as good as she was in this. That lady can act. It was quite impressive. And her character is really good. I'm going to pause the video there because my throat is in bits. I'm going to take a drink and I'll be back. Okay, so gonna go a drink because I think I'm ill. I don't know, don't feel ill, just got a bad throat. Okay, so Umbrella Academy, it's set in the present, but it does operate through a series of flashbacks as well as in the present day. In hindsight, we see that Hargreaves was great at teaching his kids how to save the world and how to use their abilities and powers, but far less capable of being an actual parent and father figure. And you see a lot of that as the series progresses. So, because of the way he's brought his children up, or his adopted children, his children are a group of vigilantes, narcissists, drug addicts, or at the very least in need of some therapy, because of their experiences from their youth. They all seem to dislike each other, and not just because of the clash in personalities. I think more because spending time with each other reminds them of who they really are and where they've really come from. The only thing they do agree on really is how much they hate the man that's brought them together. But as I said before, underneath that, the series' brilliant sense of style, amazing visual effects, expensive looking sets. But despite all that, it paints a brutal portrait of a beyond unhappy family that somehow has to help each other and through that save the world. And the Umbrella Academy is surprisingly emotional. I mean, I've got a cold, dead heart. I don't cry for no reason. Opie Winston's death, that got me. That's pretty much it in the last 10 years, I think, from a TV/movie related emotion. It didn't get me that much, but it is emotional. I can see why people would get emotional watching it. The biggest lesson the Umbrella Academy teaches, for me really, is that calling your children by numbers instead of their names, e.g. number 7, number 1, is one way to make them feel more like objects than actual people. And that's the impression I get, is that these people feel like objects because of the way they were brought up. Without giving too much away, most of the children, numbers 1 through 6, have powers. The exception is Vanya, who is played by Ellen Page, aka number 7. And the real treat for me, being unfamiliar with the core material, is seeing these guys use their powers for the first time. Ellen Page's character Vanya got on my nerves for a big chunk of this because I knew where he was going. I'll try not to give too much away, but I think most people will switch on to it quite quickly. The show's action sequences are dazzling. That's the only way I can put it. Mary J. Blige's character Cha-Cha and her partner Hazel, played by Cameron Britton, they get in on the fun too, donning some big plastic head masks armed with loud sort of machine guns, old sounding machine guns. The Umbrella Academy is sort of like it's a pattern of a music cue followed by a comedic piece, followed by some sort of acrobatic, violent masterpiece. It's really something to watch, really something to observe and spectate, because it's done so well. So back to Vanya. Her lack of powers make her the outsider of the group, or the runt of the litter, I suppose. And each of her siblings react to her differently. Some want to protect her, even mother her. Others ignore her. They leave her out of the battles, but they would. She's not got any powers. Some see her as useless, and it had me wondering while she was there for a little while, and it's designed to make everyone wonder why she's there. It sounds deep. It is deep, I suppose, much like Vanya. Even though it took a long while for me to warm to her. There's just something about Ellen Page's portrayal that was off for me in the beginning. Each of the other 6 heroes does have a different dynamic with the rest of the group. Number 1, or Luther, played by Tom Hopper. He's got a devotion to their father that really rubs the others up the wrong way. Hargreaves was abusive to number 4, aka Klaus, played rather brilliantly by Robert Sheehan. You need to check him out in Misfits, where he plays another offbeat superhero. It's far more vulgar than this, more in line with the boys, but it's a British superhero show with a low budget, but it was really enjoyable, and the show suffered when he left. He's a great actor, so yeah, check him out in the Misfits. And then due to Klaus's powers, and his father forced him to use his powers, because his superpower is he can speak and see the dead. And then to numb this, he goes on drinking drug binges to dull the pain and to keep these visions and sights away. And he's a messed up guy. But his story, or his story arc, is probably the best, or the story I like the most, because he has a full character arc. His character comes full circle, and it's really worth the watch. So number 3, aka Alison, played by Emmy Raver-Lampman, has powers that make her untrustworthy. I won't give her powers away. And as a result, she's pushed further away than Ellen Page's character of Seven. And there's the really odd number 5, who's been MIA for years. He's another big character in the show, got a really enjoyable arc, and he's pivotal to everything that's going on. So all that baggage and trauma have followed the Umbrella Academy into their adult life. The characters are older, but certainly not wiser. And the emotional wounds they've picked up as children turn into full-fledged demons, haunting each of the children in very different ways. There are instances, especially with Klaus, where you want to scream at the characters because they keep falling into old habits, or not being able to get out of their own way, if that makes any sense. And then through that, you get really touching moments that materialise just sort of out of the blue. Again, this relates more to Klaus than sort of any of them, or stronger with Klaus than some of the others. It also happens with Alison and Vanya's strained sisterly relationship or sisterly bond. It emphasises how much they care for each other, but they really struggle to say or tell each other how much they care. As I said, this is really deep, well thought out series. So the style on the Doomsday side, it's the family dynamic and the pain of the family dynamic that really makes Umbrella Academy different to any of the other shows that I watch, and makes it far more different to other shows. And the final episode, it truly breathtaking to watch and to take in. The acting is out of this world. The effects are out of this world. It's really beautifully shot. The special effects, absolutely incredible. I've never seen anything like it, really, especially in a TV show. This looks like a big budget, especially the last episode. It looks like a big budget movie, and it's a TV show on Netflix, and they must have put some money into it, a lot. But that being said, the show could have been a 10 out of 10 if it wasn't for a character's story arc, which to me was all too familiar. I couldn't name exactly which X-Men character her story or their story follows, and why it's so similar, why I saw it coming, and it did dull this down to me. There's a lot of X-Men-esque references in there. I mean, they're a family of freaks, much like the X-Men. One of the characters is quite similar to Beast. Won't go too much into it. So, I've had to score this just because of Ellen Page and how she spends the majority of the show. I'd have to mark it down, and then I'd have to mark it down because of the character arc of one of them at the end being all too. I saw it coming, and if you've read the big X-Men stories and you've seen this, you know exactly where I'm coming from. It's been done before. It's been done numerous times before in multiple media forms. So I'd have to knock this down to an 8.5. Thankfully, I don't think I heard any My Chemical Romance in the score for it, so that gives it a sort of an extra up, I think. So I didn't enjoy quite as much as The Boys, but it's up there with the better of the superhero TV shows. But obviously knowing where the story was going, and there was some wooden acting in the beginning, and I'm fine when to talk. I'm quite wooden in these videos, but I don't get paid for these. But all of these downs, I'm sounding like this show's really bad, and it's not because the other actors elevate, and the scope and the imagery elevates this show. And the other family members and Mary J. Blige's character and her partner Hazel, they sort of save it. And some of the absurdities around these characters save it. I don't want to spoil anything. I want you guys to go watch it, enjoy it for yourself, and then maybe have a discussion down below in the comments. But watch Klaus's story. He's the funniest character in there, but he's also got one of the most emotional stories in there. And for a guy you spend 2 episodes thinking is a complete douche, he comes around full circle and you end up loving the character. So yeah, that's my review. 8.5 out of 10. Would have been higher had one of the character story arcs and the Apocalypse story arc been different. It was too similar to a certain X-Men story or run. But please still go and check it out and watch it. Again, an 8.5 isn't a bad thing. You know, if I was going to mark Arrow or The Flash in the later seasons, I'd give them a 5 if they were lucky. I actually stopped watching them because not for me. It's the same thing over and over again. Annoying characters. So yeah, go check this out. Go check out my review from yesterday that I will link somewhere for the boys. Please subscribe to the channel. Get involved in the conversation down below. Also check out the links I leave for Mass Movement magazine. Obviously, if you subscribe, there'll be a lot more reviews of TV shows, movies, anything superhero based. And then there's obviously my figures that surround me, vinyl pop figures. I've started collecting them despite not wanting to. It was an accident, I swear. And then I'll be doing, there is a giveaway video coming as well. If you guys are into Rick and Morty, there will be a Rick and Morty video put up soon where basically I will be giving away this Rick and Morty bundle. Stuff I've had from Zavvi Z boxes, and I don't like Rick and Morty, so the video will explain how you could be with a chance of winning this bundle and how the bundle could grow before I send it out. So anyway guys, thank you for watching. Please like, share, subscribe and all that YouTube stuff that I've got to tell you what to do, otherwise my channel won't grow. I really appreciate the view. Thank you very much. Bye.